Welcome to Frame Rate Studios, where we talk all things movies. This time around, we are going to take a look at Fantasy Island.
I'm Chad, and to my left is a man whose fantasy would be to have a full, luscious head of hair. It's Corey. That's what you'd want, right? If you went to Fantasy Island.
Okay, sure.
Short fantasy, although the way this goes, who knows? Whose hair would you get? I guess that's more the question than anything else.
I know whose hair I don't want.
So yeah, this is one that, we wanted to go back. This was one of those got lost in the pandemic. Wanted to go take a look at it and see if it was any good. I had an okay time.
What does that mean?
I don't know, we'll get into them. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
I'm with you. It was an okay film. There's so many things I was left wondering.
Things that make you go,
Just with, at the very beginning of it, with the fact that Rourke was the only one on the island and there was no tattoo. And I was like, okay, Michael Pena is kind of a small guy. And so I'm like, okay, they just combined the two and just had one character. But then when Michael Rooker showed up,
right,
I was kind of like, is he going to be like some type of twist?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
So all these types of things go on and you're kind of wondering. It's good enough to keep you going, and it starts off a little bit quick because what I thought he was, I called him in my original notes, Mudman, but he's really not a Mudman. Because the way he was leaving footprints and everything.
Yes, yeah.
I thought it was a Mudman. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, he shows up pretty quick, and that's kind of the drive of this mystery.
Yeah, it is. I thought it did a good job of trying to establish at least enough of what you needed to know about everybody's backstory very quickly. It did a good job there. I thought it had some good pacing in the beginning, but I think my problem is kind of what you're talking about is there was too many twists.
Yep.
There was too many things. So by the time you get to how many ever it is,
I stopped counting at 4.
I don't know. It started to get draggy for me at the end because I started to lose interest because it was like, okay, it's like none of this means what it's supposed to mean because we've now been 3 or 4 twists in. I'm not going to be surprised anything, but also I'm going to stop trying to figure it out.
I give up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even the final twist in a way didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. It didn't work, even though they tried to explain it.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert.
This is just a point I wanted to make. This had a feeling, if you want to know what it kind of feels like, it was like a combination of the television series Lost with Saw.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of the both of those mixed together.
You're pretty much spot on. I in watching it, that was sort of my thought that it's like, well, this is kind of what Lost was or what Lost could have been, in all honesty, before it completely went all over the place. But it's like, it has that feel, and I would agree, like Saw. It also had elements of, it's the whole, the genie story, the wish fulfillment story. It also has sort of elements of time travel in it. And there's all, things about it that it combines a lot of different things. So I kind of liked that aspect of it as far as from a storytelling standpoint, because it was doing, I think, a good service to all of those. It was just something didn't quite hit. And I would agree. Yeah, the ending, pretty much like about the last 10 minutes, and as far as, the really tie-up, kind of meh.
Yay. It's almost too thrilling for words.
Yeah, but I think you also made a point, and I wanted to bring it back up right after we got in watching it, that it was like, while you said that it's sort of like Saw, it doesn't take what you talked about, which is like, it's not as dark or as disturbing as a lot of the other Blumhouse stuff is.
No.
It's not safe isn't the right word. It isn't as gruesome as it, even psychologically, I guess is what I'd say. It's like, it's not about the blood and guts piece, but it's like even psychologically it isn't as gruesome.
You asked me as soon as we were done, it's like, so what'd you think? Trying to get a short answer, and I'm like,
it's complicated.
Yeah, and I get it. I felt it had so much promise at the beginning. I'm like, okay, cool. It's hitting the ground running. It's gonna be entertaining. Yeah, I would agree. JD and Brax, they're kind of annoying characters and everything. too much ground to cover, I guess. It's like it becomes too much ground to cover or too many things, yeah, for the story to do well, and that it is, like I said, that you get twist fatigue.
Yeah, so I don't know if hopefully there is no plans. It kind of left off with the possibility of a sequel. But any more these days, I mean, that's kind of how you have to end a movie. You always got to
Leave them wanting more.
Yeah, but it does leave it open, but I wouldn't go watch it because it's just, or I'd wait to rent it. Because this is, like I said, this left me.
In a word, underwhelming.
I mean, that pretty much, that covered it for me,
Yep. So you want to give your final...
I can give my final thoughts first. I mean, it starts out good. It gets slow near the end, and you get fatigued with all the twists and turns and everything that's going on. It is an hour and 49 minutes, but it feels even longer than that. And I give it a little bit higher marks because I did think it was well shot, well acted. It wasn't a total, it wasn't like Old, that it was a total farce of a movie. So I gave it 55 out of 100. So about average for me, or usually where I come in if something's okay but not great.
Yeah, so we're right along the same lines on this here. Because, it was just too many twists. That was the biggest part about it. That was just throwing it off. But you get no fulfillment at the end, really.
Yeah, that's a good way to. It's actually a really good way to put it. Is that it's like, so it's a movie about wish fulfillment, but you get to the end, it's like, well, that's not what I wished for, So yeah, okay, very good way to put it.
Yeah, and so my score, I had like 57. So
okay,
a little bit higher, but not much. But
every once in a while, we do agree. We are pretty close. Actually, more than not, I think. But anyway.
Yeah, and so this one, I would just say, give it a shot. Just see what it is. It'd be fun for it. If you don't, you're not going to miss anything. So.
Yeah, that's what I would add. It's a rent it. It's definitely not a. I mean, if you really love it, sure, go buy it. But for me, it would just be a rent it, and it's a one watch, and I'm good.
He likes to have the last word.
Yep. Yeah. So, until then.
End of story. Bye-bye. See you later.